Welcome to the RVA Affiliate Collective podcast, where we share stories around the business of fitness and other things going on in the local RVA fitness community. Be sure to check out our collective shop at rvaaffiliatecollective.org and give us a follow on Instagram at RVA Affiliate Collective. Enjoy the show. Happy Friday, Collective. I'm really excited about this episode with Vincent Vu, the founder of Kinis. We learn about Vincent's journey to the U.S. from Vietnam and how an injury led to an idea for better footwear. From making samples in his garage to quitting his daytime job and traveling to China to work with manufacturers day and night to produce his product. Vincent's resiliency enabled him to keep pursuing his vision in spite of multiple failures and production issues along the way. Vincent was kind enough to give me a pair of the Nomad 804s, which is like the product he describes in the episode. And as a CrossFitter, I normally wear the Reebok Nano shoes, so I must say I was skeptical at first, but I decided to wear them in training, and this is my honest review. I'm really enjoying them. I have a wider foot and always struggle feeling comfortable in most shoes for long periods of time. And with the Nomad 804s, I feel my foot naturally spreading out like it's supposed to. I love being in socks. My wife teases me for wearing socks in bed, but hey, it's what I like. So the idea that I can wear a sock that has a sole-like grip bonded to the bottom in the gym is fantastic. I can tell you that my arch and ankles have started feeling better during training sessions. It takes a little getting used to, so bear in mind when you try them on, but I must say that I'm starting to get hooked and wearing them as often as possible in lieu of shoes. Vincent didn't ask me to give this review, but if I try a product and I like it, I want to tell others about it. So head over to the Kinis store in Short Pump Town Center and try them out for yourself or during a free fitness class. You can also find them online at kinis.com, which is spelled Kinis.com. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Collective Podcast. I'm here with the owner of Kinis Barefoot himself. For those who don't know, who are you and what do you do?
Yes, I would say, I guess, good morning to everyone. My name is Vincent Vu. I am the founder of Kinis Barefoot. I can talk a little bit about how I started this company. That's how we. So the idea for Kinis Barefoot is really start about over 3 years ago. At the time, I was having a lot of foot-related injuries. I was working traveling a lot, and then I was working out at the local facility here, and I started to get into running. I used to lift weight, but I said, you know what, I'm not going to have time to lift weight, and I started to do indoor running, and about, I would say, 8-10 weeks into running, and that's where I have a lot of problems with my ankle and my knee. At first I say, okay, I need a new pair of running shoes. So I went out and purchased a brand new pair of Nike Flyknit, and that a week later, that didn't help. And then I tried the little Vibram 5-finger, the 5-finger shoe. That didn't help neither. And I got to the point that my knee at that point hurting so bad, I couldn't run anymore. So I was out for the entire week. At that time, I get, frustrated, and I didn't want to go to see a podiatrist because, I know if I'm going to podiatrist, I know exactly what they're going to give me. So I started to do a lot of research, and I just, here I am, just Google things away. And then I started to learn a little bit about, foot strike, which I don't even know anything about, gait, landing. And I realized one thing, I'm a heel striker. And so that's the problem number one I identify. And then when I came across that book, Born to Run, from Chris McDougall, talk about this group of people in a remote region of Mexico where they can run for 50, 100 miles a day with nothing on except a very thin sandal. That really get me excited. And I say, my God, these guys are superhuman. But then I look a little bit deeper, and then that kind of brought back my memories because, my family from Vietnam, after the war, 1975, my grandfather fought along with the American Army. And after 75, there's a lot of, issue, it was a difficult time for my family. So between 1975 and up to 1990, a lot of people escaped the country trying to find a better place, freedom somewhere else. I remember 1990, I was 7 years old at the time. I went in class one day, and my mom just showed up in the middle of nowhere, pulled me out of class, and I have no idea where she's taking us. So my mom, I was 7, my brother was 3.5 at the time. My mom probably in her mid-20. So we end up went to a city which is about 2 hours south of my city. My city is in about near Saigon, which is now the new city called Ho Chi Minh City. But we left there and we arrived at a little a market, a floating market, and we were boarding this canoe. There's 3 of us, and of course another person. And I remember we carried some water, and at that point I still have no idea where we are going because she hasn't told yet. And then from that canoe we end up travel, I don't know, maybe a couple miles, and then there's a boat, a bigger boat waiting for us out there, and then they asked us to board a boat. And that point, my mom's talking to us, and I realized we are leaving the country. I have no idea. So this is a traditional fishing boat, and typically these boats not built to carry people. Maybe if you can fit 15 people, and then there's space for they store the fish. But there's so many people on the boat at that point, and then as the nightfall, and we start to the boats get going, and the little canoe went back. And that time we spent, I don't know how many days heading south. So we are imagine that the map. So we had South Vietnam, and now we're heading south. So that you're heading down to Malaysia, Indonesia, and then further south. That point we are part of the what we call the group, the boat people. There are about 800,000. The last number I looked at that escaping Vietnam at the time. So spent many days on the ocean. And then during the day, we were told to stay out at the bunk. So it doesn't make obvious because they catch you. If they catch you, they put you in jail. And we left, and I remember a lot of the people are city people, and most of them never been on the boat before. And now being at sea, people are throwing up everywhere. We out the bunk, and at night we'll go up on the deck and get some air. We travel. And then I don't know how far, because I don't remember. But at the time there are many boats. In my mom told me in her neighborhood that one of the family who aboard a boat, like 200 people just sank, and all of them died. It was pretty scary. But then we were traveling, and we ran into a cargo ship. I remember vividly that a container cargo ship from Holland. They rescued us and then brought on board. And then I remember they gave us food and they treated very well, and very, very nice people. But everyone we want them to take us back to Holland, because at that point we just want somebody to help us. But they couldn't. It's in their commercial ship. They can't just take people back to their home country. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So they told, and then they end up getting us to. So they took everyone, and they took all the oil out of the boat, and they rammed the boat so they can go ahead and sink the boat. Not sure what the logic behind it. I guess maybe they didn't want the boat just floating in the ocean with a bunch of oil in there. And then we arrived at a first refugee camp, which throughout that time, there are many refugee camps set out throughout Southeast Asia to accept these people, because there's a lot of people fleeing the country. We arrived at a refugee camp in Malaysia. At one, I remember we were on the bus. They took up the bus, and these policemen with just assault rifle, and we were in the middle of the night, and we were going through this wooded road, and everybody's so afraid because they're afraid, oh my God, they will take in the wood and they probably shoot everybody, and people were so scared. That wasn't the case. They end up because of what night, and then they end up they took us to a camp, a refugee camp, and because the camp overcrowded already, they couldn't take us anymore. So they fed us, and then the next day we board another boat, and then we were told that keep going down further south. There's more camp that's set up, and then we are going again. And then we end up landed on an island called Galang. It belonged to Indonesia. That's where we end up. And that's where I spent 6 years. And now looking back, okay, to my foot-related injuries, why is remind me of that? Because during that 6 year, we pretty much walk everywhere. And I remember those are the day that, we didn't have much. I played soccer barefoot. And these are the day that the time that I want to be able to get back to do that. That's all we do. We play soccer barefoot. We walk everywhere barefoot, and the feet lots healthier. So here I am back to where my foot-related injury. So after all the research, and of course my childhood, and then I continue to do more research, and I learned about the foot anatomy. I ended up taking a class called Barefoot Training class at some of the trainers at the ACAC that I work with, because they know that I've been trying to practice this whole barefoot thing. So they had a seminar, and there's a doctor from New York. They hosting this class, so I ended up taking the class. I want to learn more about it. So after I finished all my research, and then I went back for a look at the evolution of us as a species. What I learned that, well, our ancestors didn't have shoe. They travel 100 miles. They are no different than the folk in Mexico. They didn't have shoes, so they were able to do this. But why are we having more and more some sort of foot injury in America? And every year there's over 300 million pair of shoes sold in the U.S. But why are we not getting better? We're getting weaker. So after all that research, I decided, okay, I'm going to look at all the products offered on the market. Nothing worked. So I want to be able to get back to the basics. So I decided to do something about it. During that time, I was enrolling on an MBA program at William & Mary. And one of my first class called Design Thinking. So it helped people to think how to solve a problem. And one part of it was it teach you how to make what called low resolution prototype. And that's where I decided, okay, I'm gonna take off my shoe, I'm gonna train barefoot again. That doesn't mean I'm gonna go outside running barefoot. That's not the case.
No?
I'm not trying to do that. But I'm trying to get out of the shoe, because I think with all the research I look at, all the evidence suggests that the shoe is really causing my problem. And I'm one determined to fix it the natural way. So I start to, at that point, what I do, I end up taking my shoe, I walk with my socks, and I feel, oh my gosh, so connected to mind-body connection. I was able to very consciously know when my landing, engaging the entire feet. And then what I did was I said, okay, let's start to make some prototypes. So I end up I went to Michael Art and Craft store. That's where I buy this little foam pad. You can buy these foam pads they make. The kid make craft projects. And what I did was I buy that and buy Velcro. And what I do, I cut the little piece for the ball of the foot and another piece for the heel. So basically I just Velcro to my socks and walk around that. And I walk around, and again, people at ACAC, go back 3 years ago, they would say, yeah, that's the guy, that's the barefoot guy. That's how I start, and I realized this is where we need to start. And then originally, the idea was maybe if people wearing shoes for all these years, they need what we call a transition period. So I started to say, okay, what happened if we make something start out with a thicker foam, and then people can, and then as they transition slowly, they can go to something medium size and something thinner, and then eventually they don't need the foam anymore. So at that point, I'm making prototype. I cut out the foam, would have adhesive back. I will hand out to people at ACAC. People would look at me, this dude is crazy. I'm not going to wear it.
Giving away arts and crafts.
Yeah. I remember I'll meet people, I'll say, try it. People are very nice. And
sure.
People are not going to say no, but I don't know, they want to do that. But that's how I start. That's why where ACAC is the birthplace for Kinis. And then after all that process, and then I was like, okay, this is how we're going to start this, because I'm determined to make this. So going back to this, continue to try thing, and I said, okay, we're going somewhere with this. And my background is in designing and manufacturing. So then I said, okay, let's start making socks. So that I was working full time at that time. Going to school, working full time and try to start a company. It was a little hectic. It was, I spent a lot of time, but I think because I believe in it, because when I believe in something, I know that at the beginning, it wasn't a business. At the beginning, it was just, I'm trying to fix my own problem. And then when I realized that, there's an opportunity that we can bring a product to the market that help people that have problems just like me, that we want to tell a different story. We want to help people fix, not only their feet, but the body, the movement, the natural way. And that's what, and then with that being said, I start to call around people to get people to make the sock for me. And I would spend months and months calling people. After, I'll call people and then, calling folks in North Carolina. So North Carolina and South Carolina, the textile industry. So after 3 months, literally calling nonstop, one day I got a phone call from a guy named Brian Mayo. Brian, his family owned a knitting company in about 2 hours south of Richmond in a small town called Torboro. And then I told him what I tried to accomplish. At that point, what I did was this: what I do. I buy a little foot. I get a normal socks, and then and what I'll do is I will go between Michael and Home Depot to buy a different paint to paint the sock, to make a prototype. Okay? So I have a foam pad, a paint that I paint, have glue from stuff from Michael, from Home Depot. And here I am, I have what I call a first generation. Unfortunately, I don't have that anymore. The prototype for the product. And I'll call him, and I'm super excited. Over the phone, I explained to him what I'm trying to do. He said, all right, why don't you come on down, we'll talk. And I drove there and I met with him, and he said, all right, I'm not going to do this whole foam thing for you, but it'll cost you $500 to make a custom socks. At that point, I have no idea. I don't know anything about sock making, the material. I'm just a normal person. I go out and buy a sock, and that's it, not knowing anything about it. So at that point, I have to learn. I have to learn everything about sock making. So again, what do? You YouTube. That's how you do.
Yeah.
So I started YouTube, do research, and just learn the technical term, different yarn material, different strength, and so forth and so on. And design the sock myself, because I have a master's degree in architecture, so I design. And I start designing the sock and getting to make it, back and forth, working with him. And then finally, we have a Kinis prototype sock. And then we say, okay, we have the sock. Now, what are we doing with the rubber at the bottom? And here we go again. And then I say, oh my God, what are we doing with rubber? So I started to do research. Then I came across a machine. This company in California make the machine that they used to make seal screening for shirt. And I said, maybe we can get them custom made machine so I can print the dot at the bottom of the socks. So I called them and I tried to convince them what I'm trying to do. They're like, you crazy? That's not this machine for. This is to print like logo on shirt, on hat and stuff like that. It's not designed to do this.
You're trying to print the thick padding.
The padding.
Yeah.
And they say, no way, no freaking way. And then I convinced them, and I decided, and after that, I say, okay, the only way for me to make this work, I need to go there. And so I now visit their facility in California. I went there, I talked to them, they say, okay, we'll do it, but it costs XYZ money. And at that time, that will be the beginning of 2017. And later on, I will let go from my job at that point. And that's the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to invest, I'm going to do this because, I believe in this. So I lost my job and said, all right, I'm going to get all my money out of my 401k and do it. I'm going to do it. So that's what I did. I went out, I spent $20,000 after convinced them, multiple trips to California, convinced them about how to make this. So we have to make this custom plating. So we have to custom a lot in order to make this work. So we have to custom the plate, we have to custom the screening. At that point, again, I don't know anything about screening, but all I know that I can make this work. So I have to learn everything about it.
Wow.
I go on YouTube, calling people, learn about it, learn a different ink, different type of ink, different heat and everything. So finally, boom, spend $20K, bought the machine. At this time, not having a job, spent all my money, got a machine, loaded, put in my garage. And that machine sat in my garage. And I have a socks, I have a seal screen, let's make this. So I would spend So that was a long learning process for me. Well, probably looking back, probably the most difficult time for me. It's now still, but that was the worst part.
Right, because you're at that. I guess you're at that point of, I've got to make this work now.
Yeah.
It's no longer I'm doing this full-time gig and I can play on the side. It's
Yeah.
now I've put both feet in,
Yes.
and no pun intended with the feet. But
Yeah.
now you got to make these prototypes work somehow.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly. So I am, every day. So I'm committed. I'm working at that point, trying to raise money for the company and all that stuff. It was very difficult. At the beginning, nobody invests money in the company, just an idea. And by the way, your idea is just out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Nobody wearing this stuff. Why? Give me a reason why I wear this. People, so it's very difficult. So here I am, have the machine in my garage, spend countless amount of hours. So a couple of things that's challenging. So we have the socks, the machine work. But what happened, the ink they used, and I didn't know anything about this until say the ink they use is on the shirt. It's fine, but you can't wear it in the work environment. As soon as that, and it just rub
comes
right
off,
come
yeah.
off right away, and say, oh my God. And then, but not only the ink, but the challenge point. So I learned that. So there's multiple process you have to go through. So the ink, you load the socks in there, the machine will apply the first base, which is the flat base, okay? And then it'll finish that, and then you have to dry before you apply the dot. But what happened is, there's certain temperature the ink need to reach before it cure properly. Mm-hmm. And then there's certain temperature the socks start to melt. So what I learned, I would spend hours, I burned hundreds of socks.
You're just melting socks in your garage.
Yeah.
What did that smell like?
It's very toxic. You don't want that. So I have the fan putting that out. So what happened is, and then I would spend literally 5 hours to make one pair. And I burned. So what I learned that, okay, the polyester, it will melt, which is the sock made of polyester. And then if the temperature is too low, it turns out the heat, then the ink won't dry. And I really have a very narrow window, 5 to 10 degrees, and to make it work. And literally spend 5 hours after burn how many hundred of socks, make one pair. And that one pair, I would take that one pair, go to ACAC, which I live not far from ACAC, run it up there, and then give to the trainer to try, boom. The ink is not strong enough. It's not designed for that. You need rubber. So then I have to go home and start to get online, get Google, learn about the ink, and finally found a company in Chicago. That's what they do, and get to their lab and talk to the technical guy and talk a different thing. They start to make formula, mix different things, and then send us, test again, not working, back and forth. Literally 2 months of doing that. And I got to the point that I learned that, and then I was like, okay, what happened if we buy something that we some sort of a gel that you can put on the edge of the sock, so it's acting as a heat barrier. So mainly it burn on the edges only, and I did that. So here I am, and they use that for welding. Yeah. What happened when the guy welding, that temperature can get up to 1,000 degrees, so they have to put the gel to protect them. And it's like, okay, I tried that, and I went in and purchased that, and then tried that. But what happened, that means it dry up top, but the edges now being cool, so it won't dry on the edges. I said, oh my, all right. So really, I will spend, to make a long story short, at that point, after I have the product in my garage, making prototype and fail multiple times. At that point, on the news, there was, it's funny I mentioned this, but Tesla will go into what called production hell with the Model 3. And to put that in perspective, you look at a guy like Elon Musk. He's trying to do many things to make the change in what the Tesla trying to get us to the clean energy, but the Model 3 was a production hell, and I say, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
This is nothing. What I'm encountering is exactly what Elon, he was sleeping in the factory. There's a nightmare that was setting the shop outside, try to keep production. They were going through the same production hell. And I look at my machine, look at my socks and say, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. We know, we just got to figure out how to make it work. So finally, I decided that in order to make this work, I need to go overseas. because that was my background. Because I deal with a lot of factory in China, from my previous employment, and then I decided to put the machine on sale. So I spent $20K and sold it back for $8,000.
Oh, wow.
Huge loss, but it's necessary because it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
So I took that, and then at that point, I took some a little investment money from an angel investor, and then we went to China. I went to China, and not knowing anything about because in my previous life, we make furniture. We don't make any kind of suit and sock. So I don't know any factory there. So I started to get online and go to and start to making connection online, and then that's how I go to China. So I went to China by myself. I'm Vietnamese. I don't speak any Chinese.
Right.
So when I went there, they just started speaking Chinese with me and say, I wish I would speak Chinese and make my life a lot easier. I'm as clueless as anybody else. So I went there, and then starting to, in China, it's very difficult to work with factory. But in my case, I was fortunate to found a good group of folks that willing to help me. Because typically when you deal with factory, you talk about $10,000, $50,000 per order. They don't have time to deal with a little guy and trying to make a sample. And everything we try and do is a lot difficult than what they used to. They used to be, okay, I'm making either shoe or sock. You making something in between.
Yeah.
At that point, so before my trip to China, what I learned that, okay, the material to make the sock, in order to make this product work, I need a strong material. So then I started to do research, and I came across a product from Honeywell. Honeywell would make these products, which he called Spectra. So Spectra is a material that, just to put in perspective, is stronger than Kevlar. They use this material to make bullet vests for the cop. So mainly used in this product. They developed this product a while back, but mainly used in heavy industrial and military. But now they're trying to take the product to get into the apparel, the textile industry. And I contact them, and I end up went to meet. I met the person who overseeing that at the Honeywell location. And I talked to them, and they said, okay, I want to, I brought the prototype, and this is what I want to try to do. And they say, well, we never make socks out of this thing before. So then I say, okay, then I send me some sample, and they take those sample, I'll feed to the factory in China that I connect, and then we start making sample, prototype. And then what we learned is we couldn't use their product the way they give it to us, so we have to take that product, engineer a few more steps. So I went to China, I went to Shanghai, I met with the Honeywell complex. There's maybe about 3,000 employees, huge complex. I met with the engineer there and worked with the engineer at Honeywell. And then I'll take the engineer, go to the sock factory, work with sock factory. At the beginning, the sock factory refused to work because, first of all, they only familiar with typical sock material. And this is something very strong because it caused a lot of problems with their machine.
Right.
And it's so strong. And we start, after I convinced them, work with the factory, and then work with another factory who take the Honeywell Spectrum material, because we have to process a few more steps before we even make into socks. So coordinate all of that. And so I was working in China, and then I have to find another factory who make the rubber, and then explain to them again, and then find another factory who make the packaging, the logo, there's 6 factories, because in China there's not one factory make everything. There's each own a component, and then one factory where they take everything. Travel between Shanghai all the way down to Hong Kong, different city. Got lost a few times. Yeah. I remember sitting on the train station, just go back and forth. Yeah. And I got to a point that I say, oh my God, I literally stopped every single young person that, do you speak English? Do you speak English? Do you speak English? Speak English. But finally, I found some folk that helped me, and then arrive at factories. Get mugged by the taxi driver who tried to get.
Really?
Yeah, because they know that I don't speak English. Man. And they would charge me a lot more money, and I'm trying to argue with him and back and forth. But that was the first trip, ultimately, and I ended up making 2018. I ended up making 3 trips to China, multiple times, visit the factory, and then coming back, at night here, I'm working because of 12-hour difference, so I'm always working at night because I have to answer factory question, all that stuff. And then I remember one night, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from sock factory and said, we stopped production. This is the first time, the first 500 pair we're trying to make. And they said, we stopped production, your product. And I say, why? I thought we figured everything out already. I say, no, your material is so strong. It broke our needles in our machine. I said, oh my God, you kidding me?
Wow.
So yeah, and then I convinced them again, convince, please, we need your help. You have to make this work. And then they had to reach out to another factory and say, in order to make it work, we have to make custom made these needle. So here we are, we have to spend extra money because the needle have to make out this a lot stronger material in order to handle material because it just keep on breaking. So we went through that process again. That take weeks because you got to coordinate back and forth. And finally, we fixed that problem. And then they make the products, and then then that factory finished and sent to rubber factory. And then the rubber, the different hardness, is it too hard, is it too soft, and how do we glue the rubber to the socks? And then do a lot of abrasion testing at the factory. And then I went over there and then figure, okay, if we wash this thing, how are we testing that? So we have to set up the whole quality thing and with the
oh my goodness,
control the abrasion.
Yeah.
So, at one point, if we decided product to wash the machine, how many wash cycle, when the rubber started coming off, and all these things. So a lot of testing again, back and forth. It looks simple, but it's take a lot of work to put in to make it work. And then finally, we'll figure that out. And then at the beginning, we will have some challenging because the rubber doesn't adhere to the sock properly. And then we have to figure out different adhesive we have to use and all that stuff. But finally, we got it work. And then fast forward, so spend 2017, 2018, and we officially launched the product last November.
Wow. From custom material for the socks, custom needles for the machines to make the socks, custom rubber, probably custom adhesive or some special adhesive no one's ever heard of. And then you get, I guess at some point you had 500 units and you launched in November. And I mean, you did all this quality control and testing. And it's funny because when you hear this story, the last thing you think of is, are they even comfortable? Like you think, do they work? Do they hold up? Do they survive all this stuff? Yeah. It's like, well, are they comfortable? Do people want to wear them?
Yeah, you're right. And during that time, before we commit to 500 pair, we do a 10 pair test, 50 pair test. These are the things that is coming in. And we know that the thing that we need to tweak, these are the pair that I will give out to trainer. So different gym that I go to, give a trainer to get feedback from these guys. At the beginning, it was difficult because, you don't see anybody wearing this stuff. The closest thing that people can relate to the 5-finger thing.
Yeah, the 5-finger.
The Vibram 5-finger. But this is the socks. What it is? Why I'm wearing? Why I'm supposed? Then I have to really explain to the sign behind it, because while the factory working on the products, the technical stuff, here I am continuing to learn, educate myself, the sign, understanding the foot anatomy, the biomechanic, understanding, how the body is supposed to work. Because all these things, because these are the knowledge I need to understand. First for myself, my personal use, because I know that I fixed my problem, but I need to be able to speak intelligently when I talk to trainer to convince them, why are you doing this? Some of them already doing it. It's just they don't think about it, because when people squat, they take up their shoe.
Yeah.
But then my question, why do we put the shoe back on again?
I guess impact maybe.
Yeah. So the other thing that and then we look at the sign behind it. You look at I talk about the book already. I talk about you look at the best runner, those guys from Kenya. And by the way, those guys start running barefoot. And not, again, they are the reason they can do what they do because they used to body the way they were designed. So all these knowledge I constantly learning. I watch YouTube video, I read book, I spend a lot of time talking to folks. And the good thing is during that product development phase, somebody recommended me a book called 50 Habits of Barefoot. I bought that book. It turned out that book was written by a professor at Liberty University.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just down the street.
Yes, and then last time I was making prototype, I call him up. I say, Dr. Daniel Howell is that his name, and I say, I read your book, and this is what something I really believe in what you do. You say in your book, and because I was used to practice that. So I'm developing this product. Love to come to talk to you, get your feedback, and then I went out and to Liberty University and talked to him. And really, they call him the barefoot professor. He's the only professor that in my entire adult life that walk around teaching class barefoot. And then I talk to him, I get feedback from him, and again, that feedback continue to being put back to the product, continue to refine. And then fast forward, at this whole time, Kinis is also part of this incubator called Startup Virginia. Yep. So that's we part of that. So during the day, I would meet with all my mentors, talk about the business strategies. I was very fortunate to work with some of the most talented and very, very, very nice folks who helped me, who believe in me.
And that's out of the Innovation Center.
Innovation
right?
Center, that's correct. Earl Cox, he's, I remember that during that time, we were going to branding strategies. Very fortunate, I met him through as a mentor through Startup Virginia, and then I had a meeting with him in his office as a Martin agency. That was incredible because one of the best branding firm in the country, and have a meeting there with him I blew my mind. I'm super excited, and then working with a few folks at the brand center, so that they will help. So these are grad student. And they help, Nick Tobat helped to design our logo for us, the Kinis logo. And then there's another girl, Caitlin, I forgot her last name, but she helped with the brand book. And then we would have meeting between the brand center student, Earl Cox, and myself to talk about strategies Kinis would not be here today without those folks helping us along. And then you have folks, Sonia, and then you have Noel, you have Richard at Startup Virginia has been incredible in supporting and helping, and many other folks, Eric Glims, many other folks at Startup Virginia that just help. They are there to give him back. And so these are the things that I'll work with these during the day, at night, and I'll go back, work with the factories, try to work on production, designing, and everything else.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's a long journey, and at the same time, talk about the fitness community. I would meet up with different folks, different gym, give out sample, and Anna at Rio Fitness, one of them, that she believe in what we believe in, and again, we would not be here without the help from these folks. So I'm super excited and grateful for the support that Kinis have received so far.
That's an incredible story from your trip out of Vietnam, barefoot, I assume, and then having injuries that led you back to trying to train barefoot, and then going through all this testing and designing of a prototype, to working with factories, to custom needles, to getting them in the hands of trainers or on the feet of trainers. Now you have a storefront here at Short Pump Town Center, which is incredible. Very beautiful spot, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
You're doing events typically on the weekends. You bring people in to use your product, and whether it's community classes and things like that. What would be, I guess, the next step from here? You kind of have a good footprint going on and everything.
So Kinis, the idea, I talk about Kinis. Kinis, the idea behind, we are a fitness company, And shoe is where we start because that's where we identify the problem we want to fix. The design of Kinis store is not just a typical shoes or retail space. Imagine it's like a community fitness center. So every Saturday and Sunday we have classes here that are hosted by local fitness trainer instructor. It's free for it's free for the customer. It's also the fitness or trainer is free to use our space. So that we will create an environment where we can where we create that connection between your trainer and your customer. The customer can come to class, take a class for free. They can wear our product for free. And if they feel like the product that help them move better, they can purchase a product. If not, there's no commitment. But we want to create an environment where we can bring the bonding, where people can openly and freely share knowledge about fitness and wellness. Where do we want to see Kinis from now? At the end of the day, we want to take this idea scale. I believe that when we create an environment where we can share the knowledge, it's mutually benefit everyone. Because the market right now is fragmented. I think a lot of folks like the big shoe brand company, they are in the business to selling shoe, but we're Kinis, we believe in the idea of giving education, and that's something that Kinis continue to do. Another thing that we start launching that we are doing, that we are partnered up with a local chiropractor, Dr. Joe Abreski. We'll launch a series of barefoot movement video where we really talk science behind it, because Dr. Joe will bring some of his knowledge from a chiropractor and bring to it, because when we look at the human body, it's not just the feet, the entire body connected. And we want to continue to give more knowledge to folk. And all these, and we also do barefoot workshop here. It's free for customers. We encourage people to come because I believe in continue to give people, to educate folks. Where do we want to go from here? So next year we talk about bringing technology into our products. So we're hoping to launch our smart footwear products next year, because everybody have the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, but there's so much more about the feet that we don't know yet. And I think being in this, by us doing it for the last 3 years, we gain substantial amount of knowledge where we can combine our knowledge and the technology that we can offer more added value for our customer. So with the smart footwear product, you can start to track your alignment, your ankle mobility, your landing, your weight distribution, your pressure point. And these are the things that ultimately it allow us customer or our user to make decision in terms of what they need to focus on for. Could be for either moving better or maybe just injury prevention, and that's what we want to focus on.
Interesting. So I think about at some running stores they have that machine. You get on and it tells you that kind of stuff. Yeah, or it tells you where your pressure points are. But you're talking about a concept of that being almost live or real time.
Yes.
As you walk.
Yes. So that's something. So imagine that the sensor will be embedded in your smart footwear that will connect to our app, and there will be a technology that you can track every single step. The data being collected and feed direct to you, and you can see your performance. And then there will be AI technology built in, which you recommend certain exercises based on the data which you're feeding.
Wow.
And then we'll focus on exercise. So there's another side of Kinis that we hope to expand next year, the service side of the business, and that's something that we're excited about.
Yeah, that is exciting.
But because I think technology is what we need to do, and I think data, be able to collect user input data, because we can do it live for you,
right?
And feed that direct to you, and then give you the right exercise you focus on. But
yeah, well, just think about the numerous people with some sort of undiagnosed, whether it's a habit, like how they walk or how they step, whether they turn in a little bit or turn out a little bit, and not being aware. And you can bring that awareness to them without having to see a chiropractor, without having to go and seek it. It's kind of revealing something they didn't know existed.
That's correct.
I'm a big fan of the Whoop bands.
Yes.
So that's kind of the same idea where
Yes.
it's showing you what your body's been trying to tell you, but you haven't been able to understand it or
Yeah.
listen to it. And
Yeah.
so I love that idea in the foot, having that kind of real-time feedback.
Yes, yeah, we'll do that. And I think another thing that right now for us, our product, we design our product not just for the fitness market that we believe that that's an early adopter. These are folks who believe in this. But I think the product have an opportunity for the mass. Everybody want to move better. Doesn't matter how old you are, and doesn't matter if you play sport or not. We all want to move properly, move naturally, efficiently, and injury-free. And that's what we want to do. We hope that through our continued effort, work with athlete, work with doctor, we continue to bring that knowledge up to the surface and offer that free service to our customer. For me, it's always important that we as a company, as a brand, focus on what can we do to create added value to our customer. Because we feel like if we can do that successfully, the product will sell itself. And of course, we will always focus on innovation. We believe in less, give people less, and focus on how can I help the folks, our customer, to move better, how to understand their body. And I think the technology allows us to do that because you can see it, you can track it, and if you have questions, we want to create that. The retail store environment for us is more like a community fitness center than anything else.
Or like a learning center.
A learning center.
Learning fitness, yeah.
Exactly. And that's why you can see we have the skeleton.
Skeleton,
here.
yeah.
Exactly. So we'll try to do all these training video. But we're super excited. This is what, to me, that drives me every day. Because I think, when the customer coming in, somebody hesitate to wear our product, and now when after they wear our product and come back and bring their family coming back and say, really, I feel that pressure on my lower back, my knees is actually helping me naturally. And that's what drives me to continue to make sure that we take this knowledge, what we learn through, and then share with our customer and continue to build this community effort here.
Yeah. That's exciting. I like the little turf. You get the turf set up as well.
Class here, and it's free. It's always free and will always remain free. And it's free for our customer, free for our trainer. We have our trainer that actually train a client in here. And I told trainer that we will work, use this space. That's what this is for.
That's awesome.
Because, if it's not,
trainers
it's dead.
need space sometimes.
Exactly. And one thing what we learned, and this retail store is only beside, yes, it's allow us connect our customer is serve as a testing lab for us. The idea we want to try to implement, because we don't want to be another shoe company. Because I think what happened in the market, I think that people are looking for something that really adds value, and I think we are in the position to do that. We are the challenger brand because Nike, these guys will not do it.
Yeah.
So we will do it.
Well, you're disrupting the industry.
Yeah, and I think we look at, we want to be an ecosystem, not just a product. No, we want a product and the fitness together, and that's what we want to do. And we create an environment where we can connect people.
That's incredible because it started as an idea and a passion, and you create this product, but I don't think you lost the idea and the passion. It's not just the product and everything you're talking about as far as bringing in trainers and letting them use your space and giving back to the community in this way. It's more about the idea than it is the product, which is incredible. And I think that's what draws people to you.
Yeah, you are 100% right. And we are, I find it when I'm here, I always want people in here to do something. That's what gets me excited. I don't want products sitting here, because if the product sitting, it's dead. It's no different than anything. I want only people in here doing something. Could be, we had yoga class here. We're hosting some of the yoga for veteran coming up soon. We're constantly looking for new. If anybody in the Richmond area, if you're a trainer, you're a fitness instructor, whatever you want to do that align with our mindset, which you get the body back to that natural state again. You are free. Anytime call us. You are free to use this space.
Wow, that's awesome. So take me, I guess, through a customer journey in the sense of, you mentioned in the beginning how you want them to slowly reduce the amount of, I guess, shoe they're wearing, essentially. Is the goal to have them completely barefoot, or is the goal just, it depends on the person, what's right for them, but is that the progression you would want, is to them get to that barefoot space?
Barefoot's probably not going to happen because
Yeah.
where we are in society. What we do is we have two products. We have our first product is the sock line footwear, which I'm wearing right now. Based on the customer feedback, we are actually launching a second product we call the Ultra Lucy Ultra Minimalist shoe. So it's a shoe format that people can wear it. Ultimately, the goal is to replace their current shoe with this shoe because it still retains the core idea of flat, minimalist, so which allow the foot to function naturally. But my goal, my hope that anytime that you can get out the shoe, this when you put out product or even go barefoot. Barefoot is better. That's an ideal, but unfortunately, it's not gonna. It's very small group of people can do that. But for the most of our customer, anytime that you can take out the shoe, put out product again, the product is very simple but very effective because it gets you to the closest to being barefoot without being barefoot.
Wow, that's awesome. I think, at least in my perspective, as a CrossFitter, plyo boxes and weights dropping and things like that. I guess my biggest concern of wearing a product like that is stubbing your toe or hitting the nail or like kind of any of that sensitive area where like probably the rest of the foot is fine to be barefoot in those environments. But the one thing, that will stop you in your tracks is like breaking a toe or something. Do you have a product that also protects like specifically the toes or for those who are doing like plyometrics and maybe a little bit more rough type stuff?
No, we don't. So what we're saying that at the end of the day, try not to drop anything.
Right.
Because I say if you wear a normal tradition, an athletic shoe, you drop a weight 10, 15 pounds, it will hurt as much as this.
Sure.
It's not going to protect unless you wear steel toe shoe, that's not going to happen. But I think a lot of it is, I talk a little about, you have to understand the biomechanics. Because most of us, we were told that we need shoe. But you go back 50 years ago, 50 years prior to 1969, 1970, most athlete wear something very flat. No arch support, very flat.
Well, think of like ballet shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have.
They're essentially socks.
Socks, exactly.
Yeah.
So really, I think the best way to do, I know there's certain exercise you require protection, but I think let's focus on use the feet, understanding where you're landing, where you should engage your arch to absorb all that force.
So maybe a little bit more optimized and effective.
Exactly, of the foot, because it's not about the product. And we always driving back, it's never about the product. The product, yes, you need the product because you need some protection, but the product is secondary. We focus on what can we do to let people understand how to use the feet properly. That's why the training video that we're trying to do, that will break down more the science behind that. Because when you understand that, like for me, I compete the first time Spartan race 2 weeks ago wearing our product, the Nomad. People say, well, I'm sliding my product. Well, it's not so much sliding because you are landing improperly. That's why you have rolling situation. But you focus on landing on your midfoot and control it and use your feet. You shouldn't. I didn't have any problem. So this weekend we have one of our customers will be competed and that's in his Spartan race wearing our products. Because he called me and said, I want to do the longest time, but I'm worried. And I call him and say, okay, this is what you do. What you want to do, we want to go a size smaller, so it's nice, snug fit. Because when that's what I did. And then focus on your landing, focus on controlling, because you are at this point, you in control of your feet. In the shoe, you just roll back and forth. You lose that. But now you are closer to being barefoot, so control that. When you can do that and use the feet the way they were designed, you shouldn't have any problem.
You're almost training them to be not only better movers and not to slip, but you're training them to be, hopefully, to get an athletic advantage in a way that
exactly.
If they can jump and land, in this minimalist shoe, imagine what they could do in a normal shoe or even continuing versus someone else who never had to train that kind of fine line of balance, right?
You are correct. And you see more and more pro athletes now starting to train barefoot because that is where you can really optimize, use your full body potential. Because this body took millions of years of evolution to be who we are today. It didn't happen. Shoe maybe been around for 50, couple hundred years, but we are a creature designed to move around barefoot.
That's awesome. So I guess, Where could people find you if they wanted to learn more or wanted to come in and talk to you?
Yeah, you can visit our website, kinis.com. We also very active on Instagram at Kinis Barefoot. Or you can come to the store. We love for our customers to come to the store because that way we can really talk to you not just about the product. We talk to you the sign behind it because that's what our passion about. Explain how things are supposed to work.
Sure.
And then when we do that, and then we look at the product, and then we try to understand what are you doing, what's the thing that hinder your body to move naturally, and then we'll talk about how can we help you, because we'll teach you, we want to share with you the thing that we have learned over the last couple of years, and we continue to do that.
Awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to share or tell anybody?
Yeah, I just say, you guys, I would love for you guys to come out and meet us in store. Participate in the class. The class is a great way to learn about barefoot training. When people think about, somebody say barefoot running is not about running. It's about teaching the body to readapt again. Our feet adapt through tough terrain, millions of years, so you can retrain them again, regain your mobility.
Awesome.
Move naturally.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to the RVA Affiliate Collective podcast. This is Joe Ellis. Be sure to follow us on iTunes and give us a subscribe. Also check us out on YouTube under the same name, RVA Affiliate Collective. And don't forget our shop, rvaaffiliatecollective.org. Thank you. Have a good one.